Okay, here we are again, and this time I'm confident with. Let's show the board, and scrolling over, we're looking for on the left-hand side here some hidden. There it is. So when it's hidden, it'll show in this line without any color. So we'll just go back to show components, and there we have the board. So I'm happy with the way things are fitting, the way the board looks, the way the pieces look in relation to each other and to the board. So let's go, and at this point I could send one of these off to get 3D print, and we could start modifying some of the geometries depending on whether it's a printable part. But what I want to do is pull one of these into a drawing and make some nice drawings of these pieces. So and you see my sketches on the board are still visible. So let's go into the board, and I don't have to edit that component. If I select the board, I can go in, I can right click on that sketch that's still there. I'm not going to delete it from the board. I may need it later. We had to put a lot of work into trimming and making all those lines, but we don't want to show them. So let's just hide that. There we go. There's our board. Okay. So now SolidWorks drawings. Okay. Well, I'm not going to make a drawing yet of this entire assembly, but what I am going to do is make a drawing of a pawn. So there's two ways I can go about this. The way I prefer to do it is start with the piece and go to File and then Make Drawing from Part. Okay? I could also go to File, New Drawing, and we'll do that for another piece. So the default template is the drawing template. And then it'll give you the some of the default title block and templates that SolidWorks comes with, and it'll be a ANSI A, B, C, or D. I don't think they have ISO defaults, which is fine. So ANSI A would be 8.5 by 11, B would be letter, and then B would be tabloid, and so on and so forth. So, but 8.5 by 11 will be just fine. And select OK. And then it comes out with this default title block with some tables, proprietary and confidential information. The drawing number is by default the title of the part, and a scale 4 inches equals 1 inch. They try to do some math, SolidWorks does, and says, oh, he's going to put this pawn on 8.5 by 11. That's a good proportional size. I prefer to, so if you saw what I did there is I just dragged over a view, and then from that view I can go, so if that's the front, I can go side, bottom, top, isometric. And if we don't do any of these other views, we won't right now, I can just click check mark. If I want to do another view at any time, I can do a projected view from this one, and then I have it back, anything that I need. So for now, we'll just do the front view, and I'm going to go to my options and change my document properties is ANSI, and my units, I want to go out to the thousandths. So other than that, things are okay. We'll go okay. Now I want my sheet size to be 1:1, and if I want to do details and make them larger, then I can. So I'll right click on my sheet format, And my sheet format does include all the title blocks. So right now I can't select or edit any of this title block. I can select the drawing view. But first I want to go to the properties of the sheet format. And this brings up the screen that we just saw. So at any point now, if I want to switch this to a ANSI portrait, I can do that. We're not going to change that. We're going to change the default sheet scale, and it'll be 1. So that's the size of my travel chess piece. Now, I do want to make that a little larger, so I will make a detail view of that, and that'll be detail A. And then it made it 2:1 of that, so now I'll bump that up to 4:1, and that's fine. And we are going to want to edit this title block. So to do that, I can double click on sheet format, and now all these are basically sketch lines. And so I can treat this just like it was a sketch, and I don't need a whole lot of information here. So what I'm going to do, get over to my sketch bar, I can select a lot of this, and then I'll just press delete on the keyboard. There we go. Delete, and then I can maybe move this, shift select these 2 lines, move the entities from here. Oh, it's dragging that, that's fine. From there, actually, let's just delete these lines, move back our proprietary and confidential information. Let's put this down to size 4, X out of there, drag this, and I can, from here, put these lines back to there, enter. The size of the paper, which is good. Some default properties, if I had a weight based on the material applied to the part, I could do that. A rev block, sheet 1 of 1. And instead of a drawing number, I'll just make this the title, and I will delete those lines. Oh, and put one line back in. Now, I have my title block, and what I may like to do is save this title block. So what I'm going to do is actually delete my 2 drawings, drawing views, and then I will go File, Save Sheet Format, and I will call it Chess A for A size, and then Landscape. And now that will show up in when I, for example, if I want to go to Properties, and it says only show standard format, no, show all the formats, and then there's my Chess A Landscape. And here's when the different styles show up, ISO, etc. So for the next piece, all my work is done. I can just cancel out of that though. Okay, so I deleted my drawing views. How do I get those back in? And here they are, the bottom right, top, isometric. So anyway, back to the front. And okay. and to a section view, view layout, or detail view, sorry. Okay, and now with this detail view, just click on it, and in here I can go custom scale 4:1, and it'll auto update my detail. Okay, not sure why that's detail B, it should be just detail A. So if I can click back on this, I wonder, or maybe it's on, okay, detail, let's just make that detail A. Detail A, perfect. Okay, so let's fully define this drawing, and we do that with a similar tool that you're familiar with. It is the Smart Dimension. For this, I'm going to draw everything relative to a this corner right here. So this corner here will be my 0. Okay, and you notice it was already sort of grayed. It's because I'm not defining geometry here. I'm not saying, oh, let's change it. You can't change it once it's in a drawing. You need to go back to the part and dimension it that way to change it. But I was looking for the overall length, and by default, whenever you snap a smart dimension to any circular line, it'll go to the center. So I can just click on this dimension and then go over to leaders and say max. So the minimum, the maximum, the center would go to the center. I want the max. Awesome. Got it. Okay, back into smart dimensioning. I can dimension these radiuses. Okay. I need the height of this, the height up to this line. I do want to show the center marks for these radiuses, so I'll go into Annotation, Center Mark. Now that's by default, it's way too big of a center mark, right? So when you go in, when you make a center mark, you could change the document defaults, or just say don't use the document defaults, don't have extended center lines, extended marks, and then there's that. And this one's kind of hidden here by this, so I can just like that. Okay. And I could also list the height of these center marks. Oh, that one wanted to snap to an angle. So what I really need to do is select that. You know, instead of making this the 0, since it's basically a revolved piece, what I'm going to do is put in a sketch line that's basically going to be a center line. And it's going to run right down the middle of the piece. Okay, so there's my height. So now what I'm looking for is to dimension some horizontals, which I can do just fine. It's asking me, did I want to make that a driving dimension, which in this case I now have a sketch line on top of the drawing. If I wanted to make this a driving dimension, change it, what would happen, it would move this center line over or give me some sort of error. So that's what that pop-up was. Don't need to pay any attention to that. These arc points, I'm going to need this horizontal defined. Okay, it's a little confusing about what's going on here, so let's clean this up. Just move our dimensions into a, there's that. Okay, now I think everything on here is defined. I will need to list this as a symmetric part, so therefore, you know, the radius over here is, so there's some horizontal symmetry. It's also good, I could just put in a top view. A detail view I cannot project from that, so, but down here I can. And by defining these two radiuses, that will also tell the viewer that it is a symmetric part. And now they have the diameters of this piece as well. So, okay, well, I think, however, well, I could list the diameter of that line right there if I wanted to. Let's see here. No, we're good. They have the information. I've got the start and end points. As long as I define the origin of any arc and the radius, then they have the information they need to make that line, or to make this transition from the sphere to the neck. Okay, well, hey, there's our pawn, and I don't know why in A it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D. That would be nice. We're going to leave that as it is. And we're going to say File, Save As. Now, this actual drawing file, this editable drawing file, is an SLDDRW. So I will save it just as pawn solid drawing. Okay? Then I'm also going to save this as a PDF, and we'll call it pawn PDF. Chess pawn PDF. There we are. And this could be printed off or anything really. So cool. There's the pawn drawing is done. And let's go ahead and make the rook drawing, but we'll do one thing here that well, I'll just go File, New, Drawing. Don't only show the standard formats. Chess A. Okay. Now it doesn't have the title because I haven't put in a part yet. And it says, hey, here's some open documents. Is this what you want to do? And I'll just browse because I want to do the rook. And there we go. So it's saying here I can do this in model space right there. And let's keep it, instead of doing the one-to-one with the detail, let's do this. And we'll have a nice isometric there. Okay? That'll be nice. And now rook rev B showed up in the title block. So that's good. And you see this is locked on center, the top view, which is very nice, very convenient. The isometric's free floating. Now I want this isometric to be in a shaded tone or shaded with lines, just to give it a nice three-dimensional feel to it. So then I can just start, let's put in a center line for construction. Okay. And I haven't got too good with importing annotations. It's kind of hit or miss, but under import options I can go import annotations, design annotations. And that actually gets a lot of my work done, sort of. But you notice my digits aren't the format that I like, so I'll just go into options, units, 3 decimal places. Okay, so that's not bad, but you know, this 0.813 is not going to something that I like. In the original part, that applied to something, so we'll just delete that. That ended up not being useful. That 0.125 is useful. That's not useful. That's not useful. This is useful. And the radius, because we built this rook based on another part, that radius is not useful. So was that a big time saver? Not really. So and even the 0.70, don't really need it. That might be. I'll define that on the top view. Okay. Dun, dun, center mark. Under annotation. Again, way too big. Got it. And I can define these diameters, and the diameter side populates very nicely. That's really awesome. So, and I'll do that. I'll go back for the pawn and do that as well. That's useful information. Okay. There we go. And then the height of that. There we go. Okay, let's move this. Get out of smart dimension, move that guy out. There we go, express that height. And there is oh yes. There is an arc right there. Okay, awesome. And that will have a center point as well. Oh, well, that'll be interesting. The center of that is on 0, of course. We knew that. Now for this one, it's so hard to really get that that's the center mark. Let's play around with leaders, and let's say let's see if we can. Don't like that. No. What I'm really looking for here, I think, would be... No. Oh, that's kind of nice. Yes, there we go. And now that extension line comes from the center mark, making it a little bit more intuitive as to, hey, that's a center mark. And then I'll just need the height for that. Okay, just do some adjusting here. Define some visible diameters here. Okay. I could specify the material here if I wanted to. Rook Rev B, scale 4:1. Okay. I think we're good. I will save. For the first time you can save or save as. It'll default the part name and the solid drawing. And then a PDF as well. Okay, that's your introduction to SolidWorks drawings. We'll continue the next video with drawing out more pieces. And I think for the king we'll do maybe a section view, and we'll get the board on here. So we have a lot ahead of us. It's just the beginning of SolidWorks drawings. Thank you. See you next time.